Afternoon, everyone. Apologies for my croaky voice. Hopefully it's going to last 25 minutes, I suppose, next year, generative AI. Everyone's got an opinion, haven't they, about generative AI. Every business that emails me a press release seems to be an expert in it. But do they have an AI strategy? Do they need an AI strategy? And what is an AI strategy? So in the next 25 minutes, my expert panelists are going to try to figure that out. But first of all, can you just give a layperson's really simple definition, Steffi, of what is an AI strategy?
Yeah, I don't think it varies from the word strategy as a whole, right? But it's applying artificial intelligence to a problem, and in the hopes that you're going to reduce cost, make a better product, add more value.
Tiffany, rather, sorry. Good, simple definition. Sammy, can you?
Yeah, I mean, people precede AI strategy with the words AI, but at the end of the day, it's just strategy, right? It's how do we take an objective and build a bridge towards a set of actions that allows us to attain those objectives. I think it's important to separate AI strategy in early days for businesses that are playing with AI because, you know, there's many ways to slice a cake. And to me, it's how do you use AI to achieve something really important for your business and treating that as an additional resource in the same way that you treat money or human capital.
Do we, just to be contrarian here, but does every business really need an AI strategy? Because if you think about it, you know, maybe 10 years ago, I might have been here on stage talking about why every company needs a blockchain strategy. And AI does seem different, but does every business in every industry really need one? What do you think, Tiffany?
I think yes. I think AI has been around for a long time, right? So it's nothing new in the market. People were using, I know Thomson Reuters uses machine learning, natural language processing. I would think, you know, the definition of new really comes in the application of using generative AI, which people have picked up in the last year. But you really have to think about all different types of AI and how it applies to your business, because you may use AI differently depending on the problem you're trying to solve. So I think if you're a modern business in, you know, 2023, 2024, you need a strategy of how you're going to apply AI.
What happens if you don't? What happens if you're a company, your CEO kind of gets that AI is important, but says, look, we've got to focus on our core markets, we're launching a new service, let's focus on that. We can hire consultants to figure out the AI. What do you think will happen if they do that?
I think if you're a modern business and you're not using AI, you will not be competitive, right? Somebody else that's running next to you is going to get there faster when they apply AI to the problem to solve it and either reduce costs or have a better product. So I think you have to have a strategy.
I'm guessing you might agree.
I agree completely. It's like the old-fashioned brick-and-mortar banks. Some of them were very good at adopting digital strategies, others weren't. And if you haven't been able to crack digital in banking, then you're just going to die because you can't compete against the new entrants. So I agree completely.
All right, let's try and get a bit more practical and go into the details of the components of an AI strategy, because strategies is one of these broad words that everyone throws around. But Tiffany, what do you think an AI strategy should be? What are its essential parts?
Well, I mean, I think first you have to look at what problem are you trying to solve. And essentially you're either going to reduce cost and have increased productivity, or maybe both, have a better product. So I think after you look at that, you kind of back into the components that will get you there. Return on investment is obviously key, right? What you invest, you want to be able to get back. So I think I would, you know, start with that. And then what can you do quickly to get some benefits out the door and become more competitive? And then what's your longer term strategy? So I think there's kind of short, medium, long term, but ROI is pretty key.
ROI, you mentioned. So what kind of payback time, if you're after a quick win as part of your AI strategy, roughly how long do you think?
Well, I think it depends on the product, right? And what the value of the product is, what the cost of that product is in the market, and how quickly you can get it back. So some higher priced products are going to take longer to return. Mm-hmm. But in theory, you're not going to be competitive if you don't have AI. Probably.
I mean, I agree. And on the topic of ROI, if you think of Copilot, anecdotally, people are saying that augments software developers by 20 to 40%. If you look at the latest gen customer support robots like Finn from Intercom recently, they're claiming to reduce support tickets by 50%. In terms of how long does it take to pay back, well, I think that's a combination of how much money you have as a business to invest in multi-quarter product development. And if you are fortunate that you're a tech company and you're cash rich, then you should by all means invest into it because the ROI will compound over time.
Yeah, and we talked earlier backstage about legal. We invest in a lot of legal tech. The payback on that is pretty fast, right? So if I can draft a contract much quicker and much better, right, I'm going to have a better product and it's going to be at a lower cost. So my ROI will return quickly.
I'm just wondering how much detail a company would need to go into for its AI strategy, and obviously that's going to depend on the type of company, how much it's investing in AI, but roughly we're talking about a couple of pages or more, or what might it look like?
Well, we're public about what we say in AI, so I think our CEO has said we're going to invest $100 million in AI. We're fortunate to be in legal, tax, risk and fraud. We're an information database company, if you will. So we're putting a tremendous investment in that. So we have a strategy of build, buy, partner. We just bought a company called Casetext. It's a legal co-counsel solution, which we think is amazing and going to really change the way lawyers approach the market and their service. And same thing for us with tax and with risk and fraud. We think that those categories are going to benefit drastically from AI.
I guess it's a journalist in me. I was just wondering roughly how long or how in-depth an AI strategy has to be. Is it in a Google Doc? Is it in Word? Is it in an elaborate framework? I mean, do you actually have a written strategy that you update? And I'm just wondering how detailed the company needs to be.
Yes.
Yes.
But we're a very large company.
All right.
So I should let you...
We do not.
Yeah.
I mean, I see this, if you're a software business, it's just one more tool that you use to deliver the same business objectives that you already had in more efficient ways. So we go through this exercise every quarter of reprioritizing the product roadmap. And in light of the new tools that we have available, we say, well, with the amount of people we have and the amount of cash we have, we can build more. Great. So with that latent capacity, what do we go and do? And then basically prioritize all the things that inevitably, I'd like to think that most businesses have a whole laundry list of things that they're not doing because they don't have capacity to do. Okay, how do we prioritize in the same way from a ROI perspective? Which of those do we go and tackle? And I think it can be easy to fall into the loophole of doing AI for the sake of doing AI, and it's just like, okay, what is the actual business objective? You know,
is that something, a mistake you see some companies doing, whether they're tech or not? Just jump on the bandwagon?
I could answer that two ways. You can answer that with yes. Now, in a world where you have infinite resources, there's definitely the early mover advantage, right? And the more you do something, the better you get at it, the easier it is to attract people who want to work on these sort of things into your business. So it's hard to say, and I think it will depend. It will be on a case-by-case basis.
We're going to talk about some real-life examples in a minute, but I was just interested in how you get the balance between developing an AI strategy which is quite robust and detailed, but also flexible. Because if you think about how much AI, and I guess we're talking mainly about generative AI, how much that has changed in the past year, I presume that any AI strategy shouldn't be set in stone. What do you think it is?
Probably no tech product roadmap is set in stone, right? So I would think the same for your AI strategy. It's got to be flexible. New tools are coming out, new approaches, new techniques. I think we've met with 12 or 13 startups already, and just learning about the next generation. What is Horizon 3 in AI applied to our problems at Thomson Reuters? And I do think it's never set in stone as far as a product roadmap or tech goes. As you were saying earlier, you guys are iterating pretty regularly and making the product better to attract a broader, set of customers. So I think it's the same when you apply AI. And I think you will apply it to the thing that you can get the return first, right? What is the thing you can solve now? What is the thing that you need to take longer to
Why is that important?
approach?
Because that would sort of reassure the board or whatever.
Well, I think in today's market, you need to be competitive, right? So if I'm giving you, technology that's 3 years old, you're not probably going to buy my product, right? I can go buy a product that is AI enabled or AI from the start and, be more competitive myself as an accountant, as a lawyer. So I think you have to have the latest products.
We were talking backstage, weren't we, about how you primarily focus on the kind of investing in early stage companies in sort of legal services around there. And you're saying that most of the tech companies you're looking at or investing are quite on the ball and have an AI strategy. If a tech company that showed real promise didn't have an AI strategy, would that be a kind of red light?
Yeah, I don't think we really haven't talked to companies that don't have an AI strategy or they're not AI forward tech to start. We're investing in Series A and seed, some opportunistically seed companies. So those are going to be AI forward companies anyway.
Let's talk about some examples of companies that you think have got it sorted, or at least have got a decent starting AI strategy. Sammy, can you think of any?
I mean, the obvious one is, GitHub, right? In a press release earlier this week, they said GitHub was founded on Git, and now it's been refunded on Copilot. So for them, AI has completely redesigned the product.
Oh, sorry, what company was that?
GitLab.
Oh, right.
GitHub, yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
On a more niche perspective, just tools kind of like, in a gold rush sell shovels, right? And if you think about companies that try to help businesses optimize the way in which they use AI, then companies like Modular are pretty cool right now as well.
I would say, not to pat ourselves on the back, but I would say Thomson Reuters has one of the strongest AI strategies in the market in our categories, right? For legal, for tax, for risk and fraud.
And what makes it so strong, in your opinion?
I think we've always had natural language processing and machine learning in our products. So we are a content-driven tech company. So if you think about what we're offering to lawyers, what we're offering to accountants, if we can add another layer on top of that, generative AI, it'll make it even more competitive in the market. So we're offering more value in the solutions that we're already providing to those categories. And we've been doing that for years. So for us to add a deeper AI strategy to our already existing categories just made sense.
When we're talking about developing an AI strategy, is it typically led by the founder, if it's a tech startup, or the CTO, if it's in a bigger company, but you need other members of the board together, to sort of back it as well, so it's not just a tech thing?
It's good for the board to understand the strategy and the approach so they know what you're trying to do. But I would say your head of product and head of engineering really kind of have to lead, and then strategy. So it's probably in our case, it's going to be 3 organizations, if you will, that are looking at the strategy and applying it to our products.
And I'm guessing it will take at least weeks or probably months to develop an AI strategy. I don't know what your opinion is.
It depends. If you want to write a 16-page long prose document, then probably yes. But we go through this on quarterly cycle iterations. I think touching back on who owns it is quite interesting, because unless you're a business whose product is AI, you're going to see a significant amount of the value that AI brings, like in the back office, right? So that actually also brings a new set of challenges for heads of product and then heads of engineering who are not only building products for the existing customers that they had, but they have a new set of customers, which are all the functional leaders within the business. So funnily enough, I have had precisely zero input into the AI strategy. I think we're fortunate enough that we have a good leadership team that know how to work between each other. And I've just had a list of like, hey, like these are 16 cool things that we could do. I'm like, okay, let's just treat them as every single other initiative that we, and that was led by our VP internally with some input from the product functions. And then all those things were prioritized accordingly based on the resources, talent, and time and ROI into the product roadmap for the quarter.
One of the challenges I'm guessing that a lot of companies are going to face when they're trying to develop their AI strategy is finding enough AI experts. I mean, we were talking before, weren't we? You think how big the cyber skills security shortages of skills is. I think it's over 3 million. It's going to be much bigger probably with AI. Have you any suggestions about how companies can get around any resource constraints?
Pay more money.
Yeah, I was going to say, you stole the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, good talent is hard to find in cyber. It's hard to find in AI. I think there's a slight advantage in AI in the sense that if you were doing machine learning or natural language processing, you can easily move into, other categories like generative AI. So there is talent available.
Are you starting to see people specializing not just in AI, but in advising on companies on AI strategy? Because that's got to be a really well-paid job.
Yeah. You'd probably have to ask like KP or Deloitte or somebody.
Yeah.
But yes, they have practices built specifically around that. And I think that those will turn out to be very profitable practices for them. But you have to think, we were talking earlier about writing code and how much of a benefit you can get using AI to write code faster, right? So in theory, hopefully there's enough productivity benefits with some of the solutions that are out there that you can have less talent.
Another advantage, just to follow up on that, and this is my opinion, I might be wrong, is a lot of engineers see AI as sexy in a way that perhaps they didn't cyber. So I think there's a genuine passion and willingness for most companies' software engineers to develop in that skill set, right? So when we told our product and engineering team that we want to start investing into this, it was kind of like a rat race of who out of the 35 engineers were going to work on this because everyone wanted to do it. And then the second thing is, unless you're at the infrastructure layer or at the tooling level, you don't actually need to be that much of an expert. And I think most engineers who have numerical backgrounds will be able to get upskilled pretty quickly. So you don't have years and years of historical learning that you need in order to start developing things in it. And a lot of the tools are no code as well. So it's not like you need to understand, the depths of, IT security and infrastructure in order to start adding value in that space.
I guess you've got to have a good knowledge of AI, but also about business strategy and business knowledge. How do you know when your AI strategy is working or effective? Because you're right, you develop one, and then what? How do you think you can measure it?
I mean, if it's applied to your business, it should show up in your earnings, right?
Yeah.
So
You mean boost earnings pretty quickly?
absolutely. Yeah.
Within 6 months, or?
It's going to vary by business on the timing, but I think if I read, and I was formerly at Microsoft, I think, not this past earnings call, but previously, I think their CFO said, we don't think we're going to see AI revenue, hit our bottom line drastically, but yet that next quarter it actually did, and people were very surprised, pleasantly surprised. So I think it is going faster than they thought. I think, my personal opinion is, I think people will see people that have applied the strategy correctly to their business will reap the benefits in their earnings, in their revenue.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. So there's, to me, it's three things. Your margins go up, your product throughput goes up, and your gap in your competitors in terms of functionality. If those three things are happening, then you're doing pretty well.
Let's see, we've got nearly 3 minutes left, so just time for one more question. What do you think, can you make some predictions about the future of AI, in particular, how it might relate to affect business strategy? I know it's a huge subject, but the future of AI, and do you think in 5 years, 10 years, people will still be talking about having an AI strategy, or will it'll just be embedded in all businesses?
I think it will be embedded in all businesses, but there'll be a next generation. What is next? What is faster? What helps productivity more? So I think there'll be new tools, or the evolution of the tech becoming better for the individual user to be more productive, but I think it will just be embedded. Yeah. I actually don't think people are going to even ask about it anymore. They're going to assume that you use AI in your business.
I'm sure that some management consultants will still be doing AI strategies for the companies that are behind the curve. But all the tech-first companies, that will just be strategy, product strategy. I think it'll just blend into product strategy as such. And in terms of forecasts, I think it will become even easier to start a business because a lot of the BAU tasks that humans are doing right now will not have to happen. I think it will be more efficient from a cash perspective to grow a business, assuming that the premium that you have to pay for AI talent goes down, right? And that they don't take all the money. I think those are the two main ones. And I think the innovation, I also think that businesses who are doing marginal innovation with very shallow product features are going to die, because it's going to be very difficult to justify the existence of an organization for something that my internal team could build in 2 months. And you see a lot of software leaders now who are quite nervous about this, because right now we're using AI to maybe sift through invoices really quickly, but perhaps in 6 months' time I'll be using AI to build my own HRIS or my own application tracking system. Or my own accounting system, right? So,
okay. Well, thank you. Well, thank you. That's all our time. Hopefully, thank you to our audience. Thank you to my panelists, and hopefully that's got to the bottom at least some of this AI strategy stuff. But enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you.